What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Stories The Path of Destiny. So I sat down, I regalvanized myself with Lucky Charms, and we're going to give this another go, I think. We're going to try one more time.
Beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
I'm thinking that giant gold thing right there is how we complete the game. So let's go after Lapino, I guess, because I'm interested in finishing the game off at this point. I want a satisfying ending that doesn't result in me being inside a tomb.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Okay, so what to do with the knowledge about Lapino's treason? Renato would be foolish to trust him again. He should confront him, or better yet, find a way to use the traitor against his new master, the Emperor. Maybe Lapino could be a game changer after all. Oh, look at that. They gave me an extra path that didn't exist before.
Renato couldn't quite put his paw on when he'd realized Lapino was working for the Empire. He'd never exactly seen Lapino sending coded messages to the palace, but he was sure. The rabbit had been on too many disastrous missions where he was the only survivor, or where he accidentally missed getting on the boat that went down to the abyss in flames. If Renato could prevent Lapino from getting back to the fleet with all the intelligence he'd probably gathered, it might be worth the trip.
And from here on in, I actually have no idea what's going to happen along this path. It's a new option. We'd never seen it before, everybody. So that should be pretty fun, be able to run that down and see where it leads.
How had they come to this? They'd been on so many adventures together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times, and Renato had rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs.
That's a strong magnetism towards lynch mobs there. That's a man with a personality that instills violence. Some people on the internet say that I have a personality that instills violence. Like they want to hurt me over and over and over again. Like maybe you should work on that a little bit. Just, I don't know. Violence is never an option, especially not when it's towards me. When it's towards other people, maybe. But when it's towards me, you may want to leave that for later. Ooh, that teleportational thing he does once you get to the high.
Resented him? Lapino was hilarious because he was so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs, he wasn't a happy camper. Was this payback? Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice?
I doubt that they've got him in any sort of vice or anything like that. He just seems like a traitor. He's
bored with his old sword. Oh, hey! A crafting bench!
I think he's just like resentful at this point. Resentment and jealousy. 2 very dangerous emotions, kids. Jealousy especially. Jealousy is probably one of the most destructive things I've ever seen in life. It might just be given what I do on the internet and all that sort of thing, so I see a lot of like jealousy and people just being angry about what they do and don't have and stuff like that. And I fall victim to it too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a jealous person. I really am. I've been working on it. I try real hard, but jealousy is a dangerous thing. Jealousy is real ugly. It can sabotage a lot in your life. You know, just don't let it take over. I think I was supposed to go through both. Oh, man. Yeah.
As for the gate, well, he could take her or leave her.
Yep, had to go through quick. Doesn't really matter because there's a red chest over here, and the red chests have been totally and completely stolen from. We've gotten every gemstone in the game, so there's not a whole lot more to look forward to right there. Unfortunately, that's going to be a waste of time, which is why I've been skipping them so aggressively when we've been playing through our other goes. I'm going to add some more energy to my bar. I've noticed I haven't had enough energy to actually do some of the heals that I've needed in the past, and so maybe if we can heal ourselves a little bit better. You know, there's a cobbler in my town? There's a legitimate old-school cobbler. I'm like, man, I didn't know those existed anymore.
Interrupted story time. Caught the lead, Raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended.
You guys get story time? Dude, I'm about to join the Raven army. Yeah, there's that bug again where he attacked me through the other one, but I countered him, but instead of countering because he was behind another mob, it didn't counter. It made me attack the one that was in front. So technically there's like no way for you to avoid that aside from maybe using the dash dodge to get out of combat and maybe lose your counter. But that does seem like a bug because the hammer doesn't actually hit you. He strikes you through another mob from behind it.
Ravens were landing everywhere from dropships. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, the rabbit would give the Empire all the intelligence he'd been stealing from the rebellion, and they'd probably give him a medal. He'd have to be very careful about how he played Lapino. At the slightest hint of danger, the mad rabbit would take off like a rabbit.
That's my concern, is like, why was this never an option before? Like, why did we have to jump through so many hoops just to get the option to play Lapino against himself? Yeah, I'm about to join the Raven army. If they get story time's legit. My family's Hawaiian. I have an appreciation for old school storytellers, like campfire storytellers. Yup, that's a Hawaiian tradition right there. Yeah, there we go. Just go after him. That's fine. Don't allow that to happen. I do find the combat to be satisfying, though, once you get the feel for it. I know I've been kind of grumpy the last episode or two, but...
The core was dangerous. Renato had a fleeting idea that the two ideas went together somehow. And then it was gone again. Oh, damn ideas. They never stuck around when you needed them.
Apparently, after this go, we can actually beat the game. I slipped up and saw spoilers where once you unlock the 4 truths, you can kind of blunder your way into winning.
Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing shuffling his favorite deck. Now that he knew what the rabbit was, there were a few things about him that Renato didn't find so amusing anymore. You sent me an urgent message saying that you're in danger. Oh, I am. The Ravens are coming. Now, I got a clever plan to kidnap Zenobia. Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Isengrim III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes, that was it.
That's a terrible plan. If you don't recall, the Sky Ripper blows up the entire universe when it blows up. Like, yeah, there's just as good of a chance that he'll blow up the universe as us blowing up the universe when we use it, but like handing it to him and then trying to run really, really far away is absolutely not going to work. We opened a black hole last time that sucked in the entire universe. Oh, God. Well... I can't call him right now. That seems like a mistake. Calling it right now, I really think we're supposed to play him against himself. This right here says that we're just sending him to go get the Sky Ripper. I don't know. Both of these plans are terrible. I don't like either of these. Let's go with this one.
Renato felt like a real hero, brave and smart. He told the rabbit all about the Sky Ripper's God's Eye core.
I'll go get the core while you attack Zenobia.
He told the rabbit.
Oh, wait, I have an even better idea. I'll get the core and you attack Zenobia,
said the rabbit.
Right, yeah, that is better,
agreed Renato. Perfect. The traitor would make sure the Emperor got the core. Now Renato just needed the Emperor to use the core. If he could only get something that the Emperor wanted very badly. Zenobia. He could save her and bait the Emperor at the same time.
Yeah, that one had a little bit more subterfuge to it. I mean, it's still a dumb plan. We're giving a doomsday weapon to our enemy in the hopes that he won't melt the entire universe with it. And what if he uses it and it works for him like it didn't work for us?
Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him instead of going back to her father, who was going to blow himself up. It did sound a little risky. But Renato had a feeling it would work out somehow. It always did.
Yeah, it sort of does sound risky, doesn't it? That's usually the first hint. Like, when I'm concocting plans and schemes, anything that sounds kind of risky, like, for example, we're doing Shadowrun games right now on Twitch TV/Roll For It. Perfect promotional opportunity. And, like, we sit down and we have planning sessions where me and the other Shadowrunners will sit for an hour or two and just run through the way we want this whole thing to function. And that's in order to make everything run a little bit smoother. Because you have to have good planning, and unfortunately when you're playing Shadowrun Tabletop by yourself, you have time to concoct good plans, but since we're doing a show where the principal point is to entertain an audience, we don't have time to sit there for hours and hours and hours at a time trying to come up with a plan. Like, there has to be some kind of movement in the series. And so we sit down and we have conversations. And one of the big triggers that I've noticed is the more complication you add to a plan, the more dice rolls you add, the more randomness you add to a plan that can't be accounted for, the worse the plan is. You want plans that can be comprised almost entirely of things that you control. Cards that are already inside your hand and are immovable. Those cards are firmly yours. There's no chance of betrayal, there's no chance of turnaround, or at least minimal chances. And anytime you get that feeling in your stomach where you're like, this is a little too risky, I don't know, going with your gut seemed like a bad idea. I don't remember if we have to go through the sewer right here. As I recall, we just go through, like, over here.
It was going to be full of gogglers, wasn't it? Oh, it would have been so much more fun before the war. When the worst thing that could happen to you was getting fleeced buying a rug.
Or fleeced buying a squid. Squids are kind of cute animals. Squids make good pets, too. I don't know if most people know this, but squids are, like, super smart. Like, for real, squids and octopi, crazy smart. This is one of my minor obsessions. Why is Lapino here?
Renato was halfway to Zenobia's encampment when Lapino showed up. He was disheveled and distraught.
They jumped us. I barely got away. Oh, they got the core.
Oh, it was all going according to plan, thought Renato. Now he just needed Zenobia on his side. Yes, that was even better. The Iblis Stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought. Even Lapino. Even though Lapino was already a traitor. It would turn him against his secret master, the Emperor. He would try to make himself Emperor. And the Emperor would have to defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius.
Let's send Lapino for the Iblis Stone. Zenobia is powerful enough to actually use the Iblis Stone. That's what would worry me, is like Zenobia has like magic powers and shit, whereas Lapino, he's mostly just an idiot. So, send him for the stone?
This is terrible, Renato told the rabbit. If only I had gone for the Iblis Stone. But now it's lost in enemy territory. He handed Lapino a map. It gives the bearer so much power. We can only hope the Emperor never finds it.
What was that?
Said Lapino.
I think someone's following us.
I didn't hear anything.
Rabbit ears. You go on ahead. I'll check it out.
And with that, Lapino hopped off with the map.
See, like, I'm okay with this right here because this is interesting. You'll know in the previous episode I was kind of talking about the way that the character doesn't always use information to his benefit. Like, right now, I feel like he's using the information he has to his benefit by comparison to our other playthroughs where it seems like he just does the same idiotic shit over and over and over again. And you get, like, one minor difference during the course of an entire playthrough. Whereas this time around, if every single playthrough was as different as this right here, where he's, like, applying information and actively trying to ferret out the result that he wants, I think I'd be a lot better off. I will probably... Yeah, let's stop you off real quick. I need to keep all of you on screen. We got a bunch of buffs flying around, though, which is all kinds of bad. They just did a counterclockwise rotation on that side, but I am unafraid, for I am Renato, the fox. Apparently, Reynardo actually means like fox in French or something like that. That's what somebody told me. It was probably one of the comments I read. I do read the comments, contrary to popular belief. It's just I don't have time to, like, respond to every single one. I get, like, several hundred comments a day, probably about 35 emails. It's just like, ooh, it's a lot.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. She was curled up on her bed. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She was made of smoke, and he noticed he had a very solid blade to his throat. "Did you really think you could capture me?" purred a familiar voice. "I just wanted to chat," said Renato. "Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He needs a sacrifice, someone who truly loves him, to make a bargain with the lost gods." "That's a vicious lie. He wants to bring them back." That's crazy. Why would anyone... They could make him immortal. An eater of souls. And with that, her eyes widened. She understood. Renato told her how he had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred. How he had slept in a burnt village. At midnight, the Emperor's victims had come to him in his dreams to tell him of the hideous eldritch rituals they'd been sacrificed in. He could still see those kittens and puppies. Their wide, sad eyes, their moist noses. "You can't prove that." "I've got a witness at the observatory."
So now we have to be very, very careful. I think I may have given Lupino too much power. But giving Zenobia the stone seemed like a really bad idea, because she's kind of like me in that she can actually kill a lot of people. She's strong. She went to Sword Fu school.
He couldn't tell her, not yet, why he was really here. He didn't want her to be anywhere near the fleet when her father blew himself and Lupino up. So he told her about how the Emperor's obscene rituals had raised ancient artifacts out of the land. How he'd followed the appalling trail of the hideous horrors His Majesty had perpetrated for the sake of his own immortality. "Any of this ring a bell?" he said. "He told me it was all lies." "You've always known when I was lying. I always hated that about you," said Renato. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them.
Nothing worse than somebody that's like immune to your bullshit. They just have like an amulet of not your bullshit plus 50. My girlfriend's the same way. My fiance at this point, I guess. She's the same way. Where like she is completely and totally immune. Like I can try and bullshit her, but it's not gonna work. She's like, I know you too well. You're pulling something right now. She says I get this look in my eye when I'm bullshitting. I don't know. I am a world champion bullshitter. I always have been. I've always told people that like my skill has never been the strongest or the fastest or the smartest or anything like that, but I am really, really good at bullshitting. Bullshitting has always been the principal skill that I employ whenever I need to. But she says somehow she sees, I guess it's familiarity. She's around me too much. She knows when I'm bullshitting. What supports this stairway right here? This seems very, very earthquake unsafe. Oh, there's a red chest hiding back up in here. I'm going to get rid of you. And I'm going to try and get rid of you before you buff up too many of these little bastards over here. Making my life difficult. Apparently that double parry counted right there. I was expecting it not to because it was one mob behind another. That's always kind of a dangerous prospect. I expect an attack from the one on the right next, yeah. It seems to go in some kind of order. Like, once they've attacked, they wait until everybody else attacks before they go again or something. Don't really need that over there. I don't think we've ever been this way. At school, we learned the gospel of the transcendent emperor, the last divinity to pierce the skies. He would banish the evil old gods and grant us a gift of time. But could one man, divine as he may be, create something as intricate as time? I have my own theory. I believe that time is a symptom rather than a gift. I am convinced that on a cosmic scale, there's a pendulum motion between order and chaos. The Transcendent Emperor ended chaos and started the age we live in, an age of cause and effect, of fact and logic. Time is merely the tapestry upon which these laws manifest themselves. It is the foundation for order's companion, entropy. But in this age of chaos, when the old gods reign, perception carries more weight than facts, emotions can shape the world, and time ceases to exist. The age of order is ending. I am merely helping the inevitable. Entropy has been broken, fate has been breached. The end of time is coming, and I shall embrace it. Emperor Isengrim III's secret journal that he miraculously left on the ground. Still, that's another little piece of information, I guess. Where did I want to go now? I'm not really so sure where I am, but maybe this way? This looks familiar. Yeah, it seems about right. Let's hustle this out. I'm trying to finish the game in this episode. I want it done. I want to know. I want to win finally. This has been just one long winless series for me. It's 12 episodes of me getting my ass whooped. There we go. Now we shatter them. That's the good stuff right there. But you got to be careful because when you use that ability, it makes it so that you can't really get a big combo counter. It's good for using on those little freezy guys, though. I'm sorry, the guys that do the buffs, because they can't teleport when they're frozen. I just realized that. That's pretty nice, actually, as far as strategies go. I don't know what I'm going to play next on the channel. I've been thinking about getting back into Caves of Cud, but just haven't had time for it yet.
There were woodcuts of amazingly beautiful vixens wearing no clothes at all. And something more useful.
Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you join in? No. I'd destroy his books and I'd... Oh, God. Okay, you're not completely wrong. They've resurrected one of his victims. Well, look, look, it's not exactly alive, but it can talk. A true witness, she said.
Maybe. The truthy part is the one that I'm a little bit confused about.
A clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Tesla jokes. My girlfriend's, or my I gotta swap over. It's so difficult. You use the same terminology for somebody for like 5 years and then you swap one day and it's so much more difficult. My fiance's dad's a shareholder or something like that with Tesla. Really, really believes in the company. Always talk. Probably not a bad gamble, all things considered. Ow, you fireballed me. This whole setup seems weirdly inconvenient. Like, why would you devise this whole thing and then just give the person going through it the means to, like... Ow. The means to bypass it. You know? Like, that's my question. I wonder which sword does the best damage. Like, this one-shot stuff, which is always what I'm enthused about. Stay frosty, my friends. Stay frosty. See, we can go through right there. Oh my god, the ass whooping is real. And that only took us like a tiny little chunk of our energy meter. So many dead guys. So many dead guys. Bad combo, though. Although at the beginning of the game, I would have considered a 27 to be like the best I'd ever done in my life, so I guess it's all sort of relative, isn't it? No, all the frogs are dead. We never saw it coming. Oh, God! Merciful universe, why?
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The Ravens had taken special care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared at the carnage. He didn't want me to hear the witness, did he? I guess not. What's your plan? She asked. So, Renato explained his brilliant gambit. sending Lapino to get the Iblis Stone, become super powerful and corrupted, provoke the Emperor into using the core against him, thus blowing up both of them, and hopefully the fleet too. "Let me visit your council," she said, shaken. "I want to help." Could he really trust her?
Well, we don't have Lapino with us this time, right? He's back trying to get the Iblis Stone, so maybe taking her to the secret base is the way to go. I mean, she got really, really upset about it. She got murderously upset. I'd be like, damn, girl, you got anger issues. She got murderously upset about us taking her to the top of the mountain to have a conversation. Apparently, ladies don't like it when you don't trust them. That's what I learned from that. Cat-like ladies. Anyways, I don't think we're going to get it done in this episode. We'll try and get it done in the next one. I will see you all later. Hi-do. This is Stories, The Path of Destinies. Bye, everybody.